you down with OTC? Down with OTC. OTC. Are you down with OTC? Are you down with OTC? OTC. Are you down with OTC? Down with OTC. Down with
Hello, are you down with OTC? Man, welcome back. This is Jeff, co-host Chip. Oh wait, over there. We are here on the chain, exclusively on the chain, you guys. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about XRP FOMO because it is XRP FOMO Wednesday. That's how we break it down. Officially XRP FOMO Wednesday. Today we're going to dig in a little bit. There was a little bit more news coming out of SBI, the bank group over in Japan, working more with XRP. One of the RippleNet partners, the Central Bank of Thailand, is doing some things with a group called ACI. Visa's getting into crypto. Lots and lots of things to dig into. The SEC acting chair also got into everything that's happening with Reddit, Robinhood, Wall Street with the shorting, the GameStop, all sorts of great things that we're going to get into today. And we're going to get ready to start it right now.
Welcome to On the Chain with Jeff and Chip.
All right.
There's so much going on today.
Man, welcome.
Pretty much every day.
Hey, you know what's really cool? Jacob Doyle was the first one in the chat today. He was on earlier. He said he can't watch tonight, but he's really fired up by the fact that we have a podcast. Chip, did you know that we had a podcast?
Hell yeah, I've been promoting it like the Dickens. Like crazy around here, man. I might even promote it again. I might just drop it in there. What do you think about that? I'll tell you why, because a lot of people requested it, and we finally got off our duffs and did it this year. So it's actually pretty cool. You can actually follow us on your favorite podcast platform, Spotify, Google, Podcast, Apple, whatever it is,
It's awesome. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome to have a podcast. Lots of cool things when you can actually sit there and listen while you're in the car. It's crazy. Every time I try to use YouTube to, go back and listen to something, especially, then it's always on. You can't, unless you have the YouTube, what's that? YouTube Pro or
YouTube
the
Pro or whatever it is. Yeah, YouTube
version.
Red or I don't know.
Yeah,
Something.
then you can turn it off and put it in your
But you know what
pocket.
kills
Otherwise,
me?
you walk around with it on all the
You know what
time.
happens? You have the phone, you're listening to it, you're like, all right, this is pretty cool. And you set it down, it goes to another video, you're like, oh my God, what just happened? You can't get the video back. It's like, it drives me nuts. You're like, don't touch it, set it down really nice and gentle. Gentle, Jeff. Hey, everyone's dropping where they're from. As Jeff's talking and introducing some of these things, I'm going to go through and put you guys up on the screen, and that's how we're going to shout you guys out. So keep putting in there where you're coming in from tonight.
That's awesome. I wanted to get a good starting point for tonight, and I thought that now I'm trying to find what happened to it, but I pulled up this interesting article, and it said that the U.S. is actually now dropped to below the 10th spot as far as leading in the innovation space, so that the U.S. is no longer recognized as a leader in innovation, and actually it's being led by multiple others. I'm trying to find now. I can't find it. The article just disappeared.
I blame the SEC for that, in part.
Delete my article or the fact that we're no longer innovative?
I'm blaming them for both right now, Jeff. They're going to take the whole Pittsburgh. I went to school in Pittsburgh, in the Burgh. I love the Burgh. Some of the friendliest people. How yin's doing? Beautiful.
All right, here it is. I found it. So South Korea actually leads in innovation as the U.S. exits the top 10. So this was just reported today. And man, that's really telling. Yes, did the SEC have something to do with it? Is it just about digital assets, or is it just in general that the U.S. is kind of slipping when it comes to that? But it looks like Germany was in the number 1 spot, but Germany's now in the 4th spot, and Korea's number 1.
Well, Korea, I got to tell you, it's funny today. Apple just did a partnership with Kia out of South Korea, and they are at 3.1 or 3.2 billion dollars. I think they're going to do this Apple car, which might be interesting. This Apple car, Jeff.
Where's it going to be built?
It's going to be built in South Korea, the Kia.
Oh, in South Korea. Oh, by Kia. Interesting.
Yeah, by Kia, right? So that'd be pretty
Kia,
interesting.
Yeah, as far as cars can go, I can remember. I don't know. This is probably like 2002. I'm trying to think. 2002, 2003, somewhere in that period of time. We're at the Detroit Auto Show, and I can remember looking at all the different cars that were on display over there. And this is at the height, when the big three were just booming, and Jeep had this massive waterfall, and they had the Circus du Soleil, flying around over your head at the auto show, and I can remember seeing the Kia exhibit. I'm like, what is this? It's a Kia. And we got into, they were showcasing a minivan by Kia at that time. And I can remember getting in this Kia. I'm like, oh my God, this thing's more impressive than any other vehicle that we've seen. Why? Because they've come so far, and everything was just built solid in their vehicles. And that was like 2003. So now you fast forward all these years, and now they're building a vehicle for Apple. That's impressive. Hey, you're muted.
I had a sneeze, and I didn't want to grab everyone. Thank you for letting me know. No, I have to say that one of the things that is crazy when we look at innovation. Innovation's on a lot of different levels, but when you start losing out to that, I mean, you're not on the rise, you're on the slide, the long slide down, and that's never a good thing for anybody, really. I mean, you're at the bottom of the barrel. Last night we talked a little bit about, Jeff Bezos. He's going to step down as the official CEO, and the guy from the cloud, what's his name, Sassy or Jassy, Rassy,
Something.
Snassy, something like that. But so I was kind of curious. I'm like, what is Bezos going to be doing? Like, why is he doing this? And then I found this article, and it kind of told the tale of what Jeff Bezos is going to be doing. It turns out that he's going to be spending his newfound free time bulldozing small businesses in person. So, right?
Oh my God.
I mean, so it's good. I mean, he's gonna. He says he's no longer gonna be running Amazon. He said it's always been my passion with a jolly smile, but I've never really been able to get my hands in the dirt, feel the air in my face, hear the lamentations of the peasants while I'm doing it. I feel truly blessed. Then he puts the massive lever on his new bulldozer, plow through a little building called Annis.
Oh, that's awesome.
Coffee and bookshop. Wow, invigorating, said Bezos as he watched the class rumble.
That's brilliant.
By the way, if you guys don't know, this is the Babylon Bee. They do some of the best parody stuff that I've seen. I could not stop laughing about this, especially the picture.
That's
sorry.
Brilliant. That's classic.
I was like, what's he going to be doing? Well, now we know he'll be bulldozing, small businesses in person, rocking them right over to the ground.
That's right. That's right. Hey, so then on a serious note, who's leading right now? Who's kind of leading the Africa kind of digital currency race?
Is it XLM?
Oh, China. So it says here, China is well placed to establish a digital currency in Africa. And I look at, there's so much development going on right now over in Africa. There's a lot of news that keeps coming out of Nigeria specifically. But as you look at, how can, one, entity, kind of have a major impact in Africa. And it looks like, China's really, impacting what's going on over there, mainly because the Chinese branded phones are dominating right now over in Africa, and they're getting ready to launch a digital currency in that region also. And it's, it kind of falls back into what we started with, which was the fact that the US is slipping on innovation, but then as you look around the world, there's a lot of other countries that aren't giving up that innovation, and you see a lot coming out of Asia, a lot coming out around from all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
And this space right now, digital asset, blockchain, it amazes me that, yesterday, past couple of days, we keep talking about how Congress is just doing their best to trip over their shoelaces, while the rest of the world, they learned how to tie their shoes a long time ago, and they're sprinting.
Yeah. Michael O2 wants to know, why are you guys not wearing a mask? Let me explain something to you about Florida. We haven't been wearing masks ever. Okay? Ever. We don't play the game. We're totally we go into a shop, we're like, all right, I might put a mask on for 3 minutes, whatever, but nobody wears masks here. This is Florida. We don't deal with that. So that's what exactly he's talking about. But look at this, Jeff. Visa signals further crypto ambitions with an API pilot for bank customers to buy what? Bitcoin. So they're going to work with Anchorage. As you guys know, Anchorage just got a banking license not too long ago to allow customers of traditional banks to buy and sell digital assets, and they can always custody it there too. And I think what's kind of interesting, it's funny because I had tweeted this out, and then someone said, wait a minute, it wasn't too long ago that Visa wasn't allowing me to buy cryptocurrency on an exchange. And I'm like, yeah, be thankful for that, because look at how far we've come. You talked about that a little bit, Jeff. Sometimes you don't realize it unless you have something to put it up against. And someone was saying on Twitter, like, hey, it wasn't too long ago that I couldn't even use Visa or a Visa, debit card to purchase cryptocurrency. Now they're promoting it. Thank God, because that's called moving down the road. That's called innovation. It's called acceptance. It's called mass adoption. Mass adoption doesn't happen. It's not like progress is better. You don't flip a switch. It's like, oh, there it is. Yeah, okay, we're cool. We flipped the mass adoption. No, mass adoption happens. It's spread out over a period of time. So when I see stuff like this API pilot program, it lets clients connect to the infrastructure provided by Visa, by their partner Anchorage, federally chartered digital asset bank, which I mentioned, to allow their customers to buy and sell digital assets such as Bitcoin. An investment within their existing experiences, Visa envisions a product set that extends to other cryptocurrencies and stablecoins as well. But not XRP, probably, but probably everything. It's probably ones you haven't even heard of.
Yep. Hey, check this out real quick. So Donna, our new friend from Ireland,
nice.
just bought 2 ETHs today.
Nice.
And that's it's interesting. When I moved out of Robinhood, that was some of the things that I'd held over there. I've got, typically my exchanges of preference have been Coinbase and Uphold, and then storing on a ledger. Now lately using Celsius, and my Celsius experience has been pretty amazing over the past couple of months. I have to say, someone had asked a question about it the other day, kind of went through, don't remember who it was exactly, but it's so amazing every Monday to see interest earned in a digital asset over on Celsius. But I guess the point of that, as I was moving stuff off of Robinhood, I was planning on getting back into Uphold and getting more ETH. When it was like 1,200, 1,300, I was shocked to see the whole market today was just booming. You there? You with us? Did we lose you?
No, I'm here. I just had to take a business call. Sometimes, business, it's 24/7. I tell them to call me anytime, right. Except for during my stream. But, you get to call me every time.
As I was talking about ETH, and then, just kind of seeing the direction of this entire market today.
Celsius network rocks. That's what I want to put on. Wade says Celsius is probably one of the better. Wade's right there. Chip's hiding. No, I wasn't hiding, Channing. I just... Sometimes, like I said, business.
He was hiding from the
no,
from
because
the question.
There's a lot of lip readers out there, and I just come down here, because doing all these major deals and secret things happening. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. You talk about. I'm not hiding, chatting.
But man, it's really cool. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see that. We've had Alex Mashinsky on here a couple times, but overall, just the experience. Not the borrowing aspect of it, but being able to put digital asset up there and seeing the percentage, payout is pretty impressive. So looking at like XRP, I think is paying out like 3.5%. Ethereum was paying out like 5%. Bitcoin is paying out like 6.5% on your first 4. So it's really, it's been. I know we had talked to him. We said, hey, this is really great. We talked about a lot of things, but now actually having the experience was great. And as Channing is mentioning, also, that Flare Finance will go over to Celsius, I believe, but they're also on Celsius. They have the Spark token. So if you had your XRP over there. And what's different about Celsius than all the others, Celsius was actually, they put a little note there to tell you what your total distribution amount of the Spark token will be. And I didn't see that on any other platform that I'm holding XRP on.
That's because the other platforms are probably not as cool, Jeff. But I mean, so I will say this, let's put this up real quick. But one of the things about Celsius, when we talked to Alex, there he is right there. Rant against the rigged game. Yeah, that's one of the things. One of the things when he built this Celsius is he said he did not want to go into a building Wall Street 2.0. And he was really looking to change it up a little bit. That's why he gives 80% back to the community, keeps 20% for himself. And that's really great. It's like you look at, they're in a sense, you kind of reap the benefits of what a traditional bank would normally keep. It's like, we'll give you 0.25% interest. Are you happy? And we'll just go ahead and take your money and we will pump it everywhere else. And that's what they like to do, generally speaking. But I'm a big fan of Celsius. I got to say, I'm really just happy to see, like, for example, USD coin, you can earn almost 14% annually. Look at this. Ethereum is actually 6%. Bitcoin Cash is 6%. Now, it's very simple. We had asked him at one point, and we had asked them saying, hey, Alex, somebody reached out to us. They were very curious if they could get a debit card. And he was kind of like, no, that's not why we set up Celsius. The idea about Celsius is that you accumulate enough crypto, you accumulate enough value that you can live off the interest. So suppose you get up to a point where you live off the interest. And that was what he said, and Jeff and I were like, because someone had asked, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to, remember, Jeff, somebody wanted to know if you get a card? No, I mean,
a debit card, yeah.
Yeah, that was, yeah, it was a really cool that's exactly somebody who has everyone's best interest. He's like, no, this is a hodl platform. This isn't a, try to sell and do all this stuff. Hey, I want a big shout out to Watch Crypto Media, gave us a Finskaroo from Canada. Great stream, guys. Thoughts on benchmark protocol? Oh, now you ask me. I don't know anything about benchmark protocol. Do you?
Make a note on that. I don't. I'm not familiar with benchmark protocol.
Let me pull it up. Maybe I do. Let me see. Benchmark protocol. Interesting.
Love to sidetrack on that one.
Oh, that's pretty. But we'll sidetrack on it.
Yeah, that would be a good one to bring up. But the answer to that one is yes. We're both in.
Let me just ask Watch. Is this it right there? Is that the benchmark cap right there protocol you're talking about?
Look at that. That's pretty sweet. Look at that. Cool.
Collateral hedging device, volatility index. We'll look into it. Give you our thoughts. We'll circle back on it. But if that's it, we'll circle back.
You know what I saw here? Somebody had posted. Oh, here we go. So Lovely22 was asking about Dogecoin. Lovely22 also mentioned something about India. And, I think, that one, is important because, as we're seeing parts of Asia, China, but China's going more decentralized with the digital yuan and digital currency. But they also have the Belt and Road Initiative through China, which is to dominate the region economically, and kind of manage all of the cross-border payments. But then you have all these other, regions. So, right, you have in Japan, you have Singapore, you have Malaysia, you have Thailand. There's so much going on in the crypto space. But then India has been, tripping over themselves with a little bit of confusion as well, similar to what's going on in the U.S. They don't seem to be getting their act together, where they made it illegal basically to have a crypto exchange. And then like 6-7 months ago, they opened it up again. So it shut down for like a year and a half, opened it, and now they're talking about closing it again. And it's really confusing as to why India would take an approach like that.
Well, the fact that they close it and open and close it, I think there's some infrastructure issues they may be looking at. It's possible that the reason they closed it up before is they didn't really have the infrastructure underneath there. Hey, what's going on, Professor XRP? It may be something where they're not really ready for it. They make it illegal for a while. They've done some interesting things to their fiat currency, trying to flesh them out of existence and causing a whole big thing a couple years ago when they did that whole initiative. So I don't think it's going to be permanent. I think they're going to have to figure out some regulations. But what's happening is a lot of people were bypassing. One of the reasons they had to take some of the fiat notes out of the system was because of the avoidance of tax, because there was a whole black market that crept up that was circumventing all of the taxation. So I kind of suspect there's something else going on here too, where they make it illegal so they don't really want the money going there until they can get some regulations in place or sort of figure it out. Because I have a feeling they put it up, put the wall up, can't do it, and then bring it back down again. That's my take, but who knows? I mean, you can't stop it. You almost encourage it if you say, oh, it's illegal. You kind of now, oh, really? So then people figure out other ways to go around it, right, Jeff? I mean, you put a wall up, someone digs underneath it. You put it further in the ground and they go over it. They go around it. They go through it.
It's almost exactly what they saw in India. That's what happened because they're super innovative over in India. And if they're faced with an obstacle, they're going to find a way around it. And it's interesting because if you go back through the history of India, and every time I was there, it was interestingly different. And one of the experiences I had where there were a bunch of government officials in India, and we're at dinner, and I was talking to them, and I said, it's interesting to see, historically, how did they overcome, from British colonialism to where they ended up. Why did poverty, kind of expand at such a rapid rate in India? What was it like pre-colonialism? And one of the things that he had told me then at that time was that, the British came in and tried to remove anything of value out of India, basically, any of the precious metals, precious stones, anything that they could was taken out of India, and although, there's, you see the infrastructure of the government, the parliamentary government could be, considered maybe a overall net positive, but it's also still a net negative. But here, you have India, really growing and building and innovating, and the high tech boom, and some of the technologies that are coming out of there in the different sectors is just really, really impressive. But there's still a however. So if you know that this is where you've come from and you've struggled, and you also know that you have about 800 million people that live in abject poverty beyond anything you've ever seen in your entire life, and yet there's 1.2, 1.3 billion people over there. One of the reasons that they're trying to, they were trying to diminish a lot of the bigger bills, like you said, from a taxation perspective. But at the same point, they're also trying to move people off of fiat currency. They wanted people off of it. They wanted digitized currency, and they want it to be more centralized. But somebody said something here, and it's interesting because this is kind of gets built into the bureaucracy within India, and it's something that I had seen, and I try to get over this part of it, but they also seem to trip over each other because there's a certain level of corruption also within government. That's something they've struggled over a long time. So I try to figure out, was it, is it that, this corruption element that they don't want to, allow blockchain, or do they not want to allow the digital asset to take hold because it might, upset the, the delicate corruptive balance that they have in their economy right now? I don't, it just doesn't make sense to me. The fact that they're resisting, that they're pushing back on crypto.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to put this up here. This is Orlando Wallace. He says, except for Nexo removing XRP from payments, messing with collateral, Nexo platform great for borrowing a little crypto on without selling it. I like Nexo. I would caution you heavily. I would give you my heaviest caution that I possibly can. Jeff and I got very intimate with hundreds of people who got hurt by that platform. And on March 12th of 2020, they did not allow them to top it off. They sent them threatening letters. I don't want to disparage something, but I don't want to see people get hurt. We did a video on it. Someone just retweeted the same video the other day. We had 2 people come on that were brave enough to come on and talk about their experience, and this is exactly what happened to them. They borrowed against it, and they got wiped out, completely wiped out. And there's some stuff there's some other stuff going on right now, but I don't want to see Orlando get hurt or anybody get hurt. Just do your research on this one. Please dig deep, talk to some people in the community. I think there's a very big difference between someone like Nexo and Celsius. I think they're on 2 different levels. I think if you're going to look at a person who's named by the name of Alex Mashinsky, this is his 6th startup. 2 of the largest exits ever out of New York City were his. This is somebody who's got a track record that is stellar, is amazing, and the father of voice over IP. This is someone who's a trailblazer. That goes to show you the difference. Tell me who the people from this other platform are, Nexo. I don't know who they are, and I don't like the way they treated people in our community. I don't like the way they're ongoing treating people in our community. So I just want to say, as a guys, really pay attention. This is no joke. Just because you think they're also protected, they're insulated in a country that nobody can touch them, because someone's been trying to file a class action suit. Attorneys from the UK, attorneys from Europe. Be very careful. That's what I was going to say. Sorry, I had to go off on a little bit of rant there, but I do not like seeing people in our community that I care about getting hurt.
Yeah, I agree. But then you also have to look at the whole borrowing thing. When you're leveraging your assets with a margin, just be careful, and that goes with all of them. That wasn't unique to Nexo.
No, but
still something I have an issue with that across the board, but it's also how you manage and respond and everything else you said.
If in 12 hours you cannot top off your stuff, and you got funds and you're trying to put it in, and they say it was a technical glitch and millions of dollars got lifted out of people's wallets. Yeah. I'm sorry, that doesn't fly with me. But we did do something on it. You can ping me on, and I can send you some stuff, and you guys can watch it. That's not what we're here to do, is bash anything, but just be very careful.
Yep.
Very careful. I want to put this up. Buddy Boyo Radio 5. Thank you. Appreciate that. My wife's getting real nasty about selling my XRP. Should I give her Cleveland or to show my conviction? Listen, that's completely up to you what you want to do. But she might be a little bit nasty. Maybe she doesn't want you to sell your XRP. So, man, Buddy Boyo's crafty the way he throws that up there. And I almost read it too, but I didn't know. I didn't say it. So we go. So Subtle Features says, I would dare say Ripple and the SEC are in settlement talks. You only go to court with slam dunks. This is so far a slam dunk. You have to go up against the ex-SEC enforcers and commissioners. Well, yes. Yeah.
And now there's an acting SEC, and now they're doing all sorts of other stuff.
They are. They're up to no good, Jeff. I mean, so this was something that I kind of just happened upon. I mean, this is kind of weird how you happen upon this stuff, but this is from 2 days ago. And this is the acting SEC chair right here. This is someone named Allison Heron Lee. She's the investigator in the Reddit takeover of Wall Street. And it's
what's her experience?
Right. This was on All Things Considered on National Public Radio, NPR, better known as. And they said, what do you think happened the past week as a market failure? Overall kind of good thing in some ways. She says, well, let me start by saying our markets are the best and strongest in the world. So, in general, we're getting more information in the markets. A good thing. It's something we all strive for. Now, this idea that potentially valuations are being disconnected from stock prices, that's not a good thing. And that's something that I think you're going to see it change. You're going to see it come back to fundamental valuations. And our focus is making sure that we protect investors on what happens. Well, there it is, Jeff. That was her focus, that we protect investors.
Yep.
But meanwhile, a lot of the allegations are exactly targeted towards investors. Oh, who has the nerve to take on the big guys and pump a stock? And why were they not allowed to over leverage it and pound it into the dirt? So she's saying all the right things in the interview, but
she was a commissioner for the SEC. She's been with the SEC for about a decade. It says here she was counsel to Commissioner Kara Stein, senior counsel in the Division of Enforcement Complex Financial Instruments. She also served as special assistant U.S. attorney and was a member of the American Bar Association former Committee on Public Company Disclosure. So let's see here. She was confirmed by the U.S. Senate in June of 2019 to fill a vacancy on the SEC. So she's been there for a long time with the SEC. So they're pointing to being, to this. But she's an attorney specializing in financial market regulation. So
this is kind of funny the way she says this. So the question was, she wants to talk about the host says, I want to talk about market manipulation. Curious how you feel in general about the whole short selling. When you bet against a company and way hedge funds that they did with GameStop, how concerned is the SEC about this kind of activity of shorting stocks? And she says, well, it's a complicated area. We all know that shorting can have some very important purposes in terms of hedging and just taking a view on the value of a company, but it can also jeopardize market integrity. So we're examining what role that may have played in recent events, and we're looking at the implications here. For example, how well are the existing regulations and transparency requirements being enforced? And do we have sufficient data on short positions that are held by significant market participants? And do we have sufficient guardrails around those to address market risks that we may identify? So it's kind of like she doesn't really answer the question per se. She doesn't really come out, but it's almost like a politician. This is what any good attorney will do as well. Just talk around the whole subject and never really answer the question. I understand you're not going to give away everything on an NPR podcast or an article, but the thing is, like, the host brings up a really valuable point. She says, the SEC was formed during the height of the Great Depression. This is in the 20s when the stock market in 29, there were people who were committing suicide. People didn't have food. They were starving to death. It was horrible. And so what they did was, because of the big stock market crash, they formed the Securities and Exchange Commission, and a lot changed since the 30s. But she says, How well do you think SEC rules reflect this new reality we live in today with social media and trading apps like Robinhood? And she says, well, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I mean, what the hell? I've watched and I've tried the true principles upon which the SEC is founded. I've watched them work well for decades. We adapt. We understand how to adapt. Now, that's a bull-faced lie, Jeff. They don't adapt because they still have the Howey test about an orange orchid farm, whatever you want, in northern Florida, that they're trying to say, well, let's see, if your great-grandfather came out of World War II and arrived back in the States, and we try to explain what an iPhone was. So this is a lot of gobbledygook that they adapt. They've been extremely expert staff who's seen decades of different types of misconduct. So, we have the tools and we're using them. I don't know.
Well, here's the question. So are they now going to, is there going to be a postponement potentially of Gensler? Is there going to be a postponement of, the Ripple SEC case? But now you have an acting director, but I find it interesting. So here's her specialty in law is financial market regulation. So the timing and coincidence of, coming in like that and the delay, it's almost like they said, you know what, this SEC director isn't going to be able to properly manage or handle what's going on right now in the stock market. Now you need someone that is a expert in financial regulation. And so they bring her in to work on what's happening right now. And the question is she going to fall on the side of the retail investor, or is she going to fall on the side of the hedge funds? At what area is she specialized in from a financial regulation, perspective? Where's this going to fall? And where does she stand on digital asset? What is her knowledge of the cryptocurrency space? Is she, how long is she going to be there for? When did they remove her? When did they put the other guy in? And now we, very quickly coming up on February 22nd, and we're going to, have a pre-conference hearing, right? Between, or pre-trial hearing between, or conference, whatever you want it, however it's referred to.
Yeah, I don't expect
between
much
the two parties.
Yeah, I don't expect much to happen. It's going to be a teleconference. I think we might be able to get into that. They did publish the number, so it'd be interesting if they change the access to it or not.
If it's published and it's public, then we definitely got to get in on it.
Yeah, we got to definitely get in on it. So, I mean, who else put this question up here? Oh, go ahead.
Jose, make sure to spread helpful information and help fight false information on social media platform. We're part of the revolution. 100%. There's so much misinformation out there. There's a lot of, misinformation that comes from the general media. We see it on a regular basis. Basically, there are no more reporters on mainstream media. They're basically just a bunch of readers. They're just reading whatever's written and presented to them. They're not doing any form of investigative journalism any longer. And to your point, Jose, the same thing goes for, social media and what we see there, whether it's on YouTube or Twitter or elsewhere, making sure that we definitely kind of dig through all of the, false information. And it's just, some of it's just misleading, some of it's speculation, some of it's opinion, but then it's presented as fact. And that's where, you start having some issues. So appreciate the comment on that.
Yeah, that's very true, though. You got to fight
and the support.
And Jeff and I will always give our opinion on it. Like, for example, I see over there on Twitter, it says, guys, what's up with Telcoin? Is this an XRP competitor? Well, that's a good question because I'm going to show you a couple things here, Jeff. Let's talk through this. This is Telcoin, remittances, Reimagine. The project started in 2017. 5 times more mobile phones and active bank accounts. You have people in the world are lining up to send money, high cost remittance. So they provide instant transfers, very affordable. Like they say, their cost, Telcoin is targeting an average cost of 2%. So if you look right here, no, it's average about 7 to 10%, depending on where you are in the world, but it's roughly less than 2%. So again, if you look at 2%, that's kind of a high fee when you look at what Ripple is. I mean, you can send $10 million, $20 million for a couple pennies, right? So 2%, for every $100 USD you send, that's $2. Is it cheaper? No, it's more expensive. But again, you're going to find a lot of things. There's a lot of competitors out there. And they talk about the mobile convenience, which is good. It's built on Ethereum blockchain. Telcoin combines the strength of the decentralized network, multi-sig, crypto security. And also, too, they say it's instant transfers, but I'm not sure it's instant. There you go. Centralization. But I'm not sure that it actually equals how instant it is. They say it's an instant transfer. I don't know how it settles up, and then I kind of think about if it's built on Ethereum, you got gas fees in there. Maybe that's why they have to have 2%, right? So the gas fees could potentially, you might have some log jams. But yeah, is this a competitor? Are they focusing on institution? Not really. They're focusing on fast stuff. I would say right here, Hedera Hashgraph is probably more akin to a competitor of Ripple, simply because if you look at what they're comparing themselves against Bitcoin, 3 transactions per second. Second generation Ethereum is 12 transactions per second, and theirs is 10,000 transactions per second, right? Average fee is 0.001, and the transaction confirmation 10 to 60 minutes to 3 or 4 hours for Bitcoin, 10 to 20 seconds or longer for Ethereum, and then 3 to 5 seconds with finality. So if you're looking at a competitor, I would say Hedera Hashgraph's more a competitor, just in the sense that they compete more on the same level, but they've got sort of different, their targets are a little bit different. So if you look at HBAR and you compare it with something like a Telcoin, look, if you like the project, I would say you could always invest in it. But to think that competitors aren't going to come along, man, the space is massive. I mean, Jeff, we looked at just the B2B space was in the hundreds of trillions of dollars, right? And that's just one small little place. And so if you look at Hedera Hashgraph, they're probably a lot closer to, they also, I would say they're probably a closer competitor if you wanted to look and see. But I think Hedera is another good project. And I don't really know, I kind of have more of a peripheral view of Telcoin. I've seen it, I've looked at it a bunch of times. It just doesn't really interest me as much as, like, let's say a Hedera Hashgraph, or let's say XRP, because you got to look at what they're doing. And I also see a lot of great partnerships building around that I've read a lot about a Hedera too, Hashgraph. So
yeah, but to your point, Chip, I think that as you look at the expansion, are there competitors? Yes. Is there enough space in the market for multiple players in the payment space? Yes. How many payment processing companies are there right now? There's a ton. Just in the U.S. and in every country, you have lots and lots of payment processing companies, and that's essentially what these guys are going to be. They're becoming. They're moving money, and however they get adopted. You look at your app on your phone. There's a lot of apps that do the same thing. Even now, there's a lot of payment apps. Like we talk about Zelle. You go over to Europe or Africa or Asia or wherever. I mean, you have a lot of different types of apps that are floating around to allow you to move money between people. Some of them are going to be bigger than others. Some of them are going to take off. They're vying for space. The XRP ledger targets a different grade of customer. I think that's very important also, like you mentioned, Chip, that it's going to be very segmental, whereas the XRP ledger is targeting big movement of money through financial institutions and banks, and will be a great platform for big size corporations to move and transact large sums of money. But then you still need the retail aspect. You have MoneyGram and Western Union and other groups like that are moving small amounts of money, and you need a replacement for that. You have the Stellar Foundation, but Stellar's kind of taking a little bit of a detour on some of the things that they're working on. And so you're going to have other, competitors in the space, so to speak, that are going to do amazing. And they don't need a massive market share to do amazing.
Well, but I think we uncovered something. I mean, there was a good tweet stream put out by Ivan the Impaler, the CEO, founder of, thanks, appreciate it, Hardware Wallets. He's actually a very he put out a really good, interesting tweet storm the other day, talking about the fact that the settlement issues, the problem is the clearinghouse is bad, right? It's 2 to 3 days. It's not instant. So guess what? Guess what that's ripe for is innovation. And guess what it's ripe for? Blockchain. Guess what else could step right in there and assist? XRP, Hedera Hashgraph, XLM. So you're talking about a space that you could blame Robinhood a lot, but the problem is that the whole idea of these clearinghouses and having to have the money available, and if your volume hits a certain level, you're not going to be able to, you can't settle it, right? And especially if you have a 2-day buffer and the volume goes through the roof, and I'm not defending them. Listen, they clearly screwed up, as a lot of things have been going on, but when the volume hits that high point, what can you really do, Jeff? I mean, at some point, there has to be some innovation around there. I only think blockchain is the only thing that can solve this problem, really. I don't care what we throw at it, but we need instant remittance now because we found out that, yeah, I mean, you can trade off hours, but basically you're trading 8 hours a day, right? Monday through Friday. You have after hours trading, which is weak. Crypto trading is 24/7. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It's 24/7. And trading, stocks, commodities, it's still sort of like a work week type of thing. Yeah, you can include the after hours stuff. But again, you want to execute a trade, like you want to buy a stock on Robinhood. It's like, oh, we'll wait till we open, or we'll you know what I'm saying, Jeff? It's like it's a big thing. I wonder if I can find that tweet storm, because I felt it to be really incredibly ripe for innovation. And I think someone like Ripple could pop in there and say, hey guys, we got a solution. We can turn it on in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think there's definitely, that's, definitely a case. Let me pull this up real quick, to that note. Here we go. And I think it's kind of touches a little bit on what we had, talked about, with the different regions that are really heavily focused. Also, the fact that we put it in the title of the video, but and I believe this was the financial report from Q4 2020, and SBI payments of SBI Holdings was announcing through that Q4 report. Am I sharing my screen? I don't even know if I'm sharing.
You're not sharing it.
I forgot to add it to the thing.
Yeah, to add it to the thing. There we go.
I forgot to add it. All right. Now okay, here we go. So, so here you have, this is really key because, it's partner, it's going to partner with Ripple and XRP for cross-border payments. So now that's moving into Q1. Who knows, whatever amount of time it's going to take to roll out. But again, this goes back to you're building in the space, real world utility. It's being implemented in Asia, in Japan, makes a really big impact. So here it says, according to the reports, the payment arm of SBI Holdings, SBI Remit, has before now cooperated with Ripple's partner MoneyGram to facilitate international payments, although the MoneyGram was not utilizing ODL for those international payments, but they were using ODL for the foreign currency exchange component, which was important. And so this is really key. And this is, kind of what we're touching on, where, it's full real world utility. Whereas before it's kind of going from just inception to implementation. And we're starting to see that crossover in a lot of places. So the Telcoin or HBAR or any of those others might still be in the inception phase, getting ready to go into the implementation phase. Whereas the XRP ledger, and RippleNet have already moved into implementation phase, and it's exciting to see the development of the rollout, just like Ethereum has moved into implementation phase with the smart contracts and allowing the platform to roll out the ERC20 tokens, and you can build on it. And now we're getting ready to see Flare and what Flare could potentially do, but it's still in the inception phase. It's not even close to the implementation phase yet.
That's well said, Jeff. I mean, so let me just jump back right to this real quick. So this is Vlad, CEO, and he brought up a really good point. I think this is spot on for our community, because he says it's time for T+2. That's the trade date plus 2 days to go. He's saying that this is really kind of hanging it up. He said last week we saw the impact of 2-day trade settlement period has on investors, ultimately the entire American financial system. Clearinghouse deposit requirements skyrocketed overnight. people were unable to buy some securities they wanted. Investors were angry and concerned, an unintended byproduct of the antiquated settlement process. So here we are, Jeff, it's interesting. Here we are talking about, well, I mean, the stock market, it certainly is okay because it seems to work okay. Well, we've exposed a giant flaw, this trade date plus 2 days for settlement. They need instant settlement. So you move money, you need instant settlement. And what Vlad's talking about here is we got to get rid of this whole thing. He's going on here. He says, the 2-day period to settle trades exposes investors and the industry to unnecessary risk, and it's ripe for change. Well, Vlad, I got the answer for you. It's called blockchain. Investors are left waiting for their trades to clear, and the clearing brokers have their proprietary cash locked up until the settlement is final, 2 days plus after the trade. The clearinghouse deposit requirements are designed to mitigate risk, but last week's wild market activity showed that these requirements, coupled with the unnecessarily long settlement cycle, have unintended consequences that provide new risks. And there's no reason why the greatest financial system in the world we've ever seen cannot settle trades in real time. So there it is. There you have it, Jeff. He's bringing up something that innovation can possibly go right now, today, into again in that trade day plus 2 and just deleting it, wiping it out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good to see instant settlement of stock, because I think it holds up a lot, and the exchanges carry the bag, so I think that's definitely, can be problematic for them, which is showing some of the delays and slowdowns, but you don't have those types of issues with some of the major exchanges. E-Trade, Fidelity.
No, but E-Trade's been hitting. But E-Trade's been suffering today. They've all been getting hit today. So you've got it going on.
Yeah. So I guess, but they all have that same issue.
By the way, I wanted to give a big shout out to Mom and Dad who are sitting there watching on their 100-inch TV, because Dad just texted me a picture that they're sitting there watching on the screen. So I want to give a big shout out, kisses, and a blessing for Mom. There you go. So there you go. Say hello to Jeff too while you're at it. So Dad, hit me up with the picture. But nice, I think, awesome. Yeah, it is pretty cool. But Jeff, you're onto something here. When you're talking about like this innovation that we're having in Japan, they got their act together, and you're talking about earlier about how innovation is fleeing the States. How do we stop it? Like, what's your take? What do we do? Besides put some regulation in place, what are your thoughts about how we can kind of plug the hole?
Yeah,
it's a big picture. Go ahead, Jeff. Go.
2 minutes. Let me start. Where should we start with that? I think number one. Let's start in the beginning. I think number one, is as we're focused on, let's look at the digital asset space right now. Look at how they've dragged their feet and ignored, the fact that cryptocurrency, that blockchain is vitally important, that it is the future. And yet government doesn't recognize that fact. So we've been the leaders in many places, but there doesn't seem to be an appetite in the US, for leadership anymore, and it just seems that, the government is more interested in over-regulating. The government is more interested in, penalizing business versus, helping business innovate. Which is then going to push it to other countries. At the same time, if you look at countries that are in development, they're almost forced to, reach a higher level, and so you're going to, almost naturally have more innovation coming out of those areas, but because they have to reach, they have to, economically speaking, they want to reach, a developed status. So that's where you have a lot, coming out of Nigeria as an example, but you still have a lot of suppressed nations. But that doesn't forgive the fact that the U.S. is falling behind, Chip. I mean, you have South Korea, not a developing nation. It's pretty well developed, leading in innovation. Products coming out of China. China has, for many, many years, just been a manufacturing hub for other companies. We don't need to get into the into conversation on copyright infringement and all of that, but some of the product that's coming out of China is very innovative. We don't know where their R&D came from, but let's call it innovative. But then you have countries in Europe that are also being that are leading, like in Sweden and other places. So it's just, man, I feel bad to say that the U.S. isn't even in the top 10.
It's sad, Jeff. It is a sad day, and it's like, well, where's it going to be in the second quarter, the third quarter, right? So it's not something. But I think blockchain certainly can help save a lot of this, plug a lot of the holes, fix a lot of the settlement issues that we have. And, like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. One of the things that I think has been a big boom, and this is something that you talk a lot about, which is Michael Saylor. He said that they hosted something for corporations. Response was overwhelming. The sessions were live, and he basically did this, all these sessions for MicroStrategy. He's a billionaire 2 times over, right? $2.5 billion because of his bets into, basically into Bitcoin. But again, it's cool that he's got this something growing out of it, because other corporations are like, well, how do we get involved? How do we put 1% or 5% of our balance sheet into Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies? So it's kind of cool to see some of this stuff that out there that certainly is growing. And I think that probably one of the things that people don't realize, Jeff, I can't be 100% sure with XRP, but I think it's magic. And, guys, I would just subscribe to our podcast. We've got a podcast out there. It was funny because the very first person in here said he was going to listen. But this is it. I just dropped it in the chat there. And I want you to go ahead and subscribe to that. And, you can, let me show you what it looks like here. Throw it up. All you have to do is
throw up that podcast.
There you go. Just click on the subscribe, and you can go podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Stitcher, or Spotify. That way you can take us on the go, and or you can listen right here on this page too. But that wasn't the main reason I put it up. And then I think too, the other thing is hit that, Jeff. Smash and subscribe. Thumbs up.
Smash and subscribe.
Thanks, buddy. That was clean. But I'm going to put the other channel in here. If you guys aren't subscribed to our other channel, go ahead and click on that link right there. I just dropped it in the chat. Subscribe to our other channel. That's what Jeff and I refer to as the standard. This is live. These are all live streams. The other channel, we do like short form videos. And Jeff and I talk a lot. So short form to us is like, 10, 15 minutes, under 20. Sometimes they're 5 or 6 minutes, but they're just short shots. So it'll just be like a brain dump.
Yeah, here's one from Sean Campbell. Shout out from Alberta, Canada. Do you feel like XRP will stay suppressed until clarity? It's interesting because we've seen some movement with XRP. It moved up a little bit. It's sitting, where is it right now? I think like 37 cents, 38 cents. But I do believe that, the clarity that we're going to get is definitely going to come from the case. This once we get out of this case and there is an official settlement, I believe that we're going to see XRP joining the rest of the digital asset space.
There you go, Jeff, right there.
There it is, 39 cents. And that's impressive. That's it was what, 24, 25 cents. And then it's now moved up. It's in the 40-cent range. What was it the other day? But that was more of a pump and dump type thing that was going on, where it hit the 70 cents, but it settled at close to 40 cents now. And that's definitely impressive, all things considered.
Yeah, and I also want to give a shout out to my dad, because he bought a little XRP, a little Bitcoin, so he's into the crypto market. By the way, Dad says big shout out to Jeff as well. So, this one of the things you have to remember is we are early to the party. They haven't even put the hors d'oeuvres out. You're walking around like, was it tonight? Yeah, it's the party. It's just you guys are very early. I mean, it's like a quarter of 1% knows about cryptocurrencies. What about when it hits 1%? How about 3%? How about 5%? It will get 10% adoption. And then what will the market look like? We hit $1 trillion market cap. We're going way beyond that. 5, 10, 15, 20. What are you laughing about, Jeff? There's something funny that you're looking at.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I thought you were reading the comments. Sometimes I read the comments that make me laugh. Look at ETH right there. Professor XRP, 1694, Jeff.
Dude, it's killing me.
I know. I knew that was going to be a gut punch right there. By the way, 1694 I hear is a good year. I don't know. That's what they say.
That's right. I'm waiting for the pullback to get back in.
Yeah, well, that's what you wait for. A little pullback and then jump back in.
I was trying to debate. I was really debating what to put it in.
SYB says, Dad's cool, Dad's got crypto. Sounds like a song. Dad's cool, Dad's got crypto. Yeah, that's good.
But hey, this was another great one. I just want to say, appreciate everyone being here with us tonight. As you guys have been, we stream every night except for Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that means, Chip, that we're going to be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here and exclusively on the chain.
On the chain. See you in the next one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.